My name is Tanya. My full name is Tatiana from Russian language. Senior student at Seoul National University.
What department did you apply to?
I applied for Department of Communications. When I actually say that to Koreans, they really react. I want to be like TV hosts, like my dream job.
Yeah.
I was doing the mistakes on purpose. I used to lose the interest because
there are so many people, they ask me, like, I'm here as a student, what I can do to make friends, or what I can do to survive, what other jobs I can do, how to enjoy the student life. Of course, my student life has ended years ago, but I did bring an awesome friend of mine who knows and she enjoys her life in her school days amazingly. So, are you ready to know her secrets? Well, let's get started. Hi, Tanya.
You're so good at your job.
Am I? Okay. Guys, remember, she's saying that I'm good at my job. Well, would you like to introduce yourself just in short?
Oh, my name is Tanya. Actually, my full name is Tatiana from Russian language. And I am 23 years old. Yeah, I just turned like a few days ago. And I am senior student at Seoul National University.
That's one of the university almost everybody wants to go. I'm not sure about foreigners, but definitely the Koreans really want to go to that university. How's the response that you get from most of the people when they hear like, you're from Seoul?
Yeah, they always say, oh, doktor na. Like they say like, oh, you're so smart. You must be so smart. Or like, oh, wow, you must have like done a lot of job, like work
studies.
Together.
You must be really like bookworm or something like that, right?
Like I guess just in high school, like to say shortly, everybody every student tries to pick a school. I was like, yeah, I want to go to Korea and study in Korea. And I also was thinking, what's the best school in Korea? And then the internet said it's SNU. And I was like, yeah, I have to apply there. And I think since like high school, since the first year of high school, I just like was studying and preparing myself for the SNU.
So how many years before you came to Korea?
Like 3 years before actually getting into school. Yeah.
That's a big preparation. So when you applied, which department did you apply for?
So I go to Department of Communications or just Media Communications.
What department did you apply to?
So I applied for Department of Communications or Media Communications, or in Korean just 언론정보학과. When I actually say that to Koreans, they really react, like they have a high reaction in the way that like, wow, 언론정보학과. But I don't know why exactly. I was curious for like in my first 2 years in Korea, and then I realized that in order to get there, you have to be able to speak really nice English. Yeah, like apparently. And then I realized, yeah, all of my classmates, they're actually good at English.
Oh, yeah. So media is like really broad industry, right? We have like the newspaper is also media, while TV, YouTube, and internet is like everything is a different media. So which medias are you interested into?
Okay, actually, what are you doing right now?
Oh.
Yeah, it might be a little bit embarrassing maybe, but I want to be like TV host or news anchor. Yeah, it's like my dream job.
So that means like you have to come practice on our podcast a little bit more often. Like
maybe you can offer me a job. I don't know.
Right?
But in a way, yeah, I want to be like, I want to speak in front of like huge audiences. Yeah, I enjoy talking on a stage.
That's awesome. Yeah. So are you like also doing it on side, like try to go on stage?
Oh, actually, there was a huge opportunity at our school. In a way that I told you before that I used to work on school campus. So there are opportunities for students to work on school campus as a part-time job, and it's called Work Study Scholarship. And I used to work in the Office of International Affairs, and our OIA building is trying to improve the life of international students, and they were making a lot of videos like vlogs or just informational videos on YouTube channel. And actually, if we work for this building, they asked us students to come up with storyboards or scripts, and they would hire actually like a filming company people, like the PD님's, and they asked us to film, to do
that
the
must
whole
be
job.
Like amazing experience. Like go and first, like you have to come up with the concept, what you want to show, which might interest the people who are at the receiving end of it. And those, is there any story that you have made and you would like to share, which we can add in the description, maybe like, okay, this is what she made, kind of a thing?
Oh, actually, yeah. I think if you look up at the SNU like OIA YouTube channel, there will be like at least 7 or 8 videos with me.
We are going to add all of that in our description.
But like our acting wasn't good because we
That's fine. If you go and look up my first video ever on, that was like YTN. And
wow, that's huge.
no, but they were teaching. I was also studying in SNU at that time, the language thing, and one of our teachers they introduced like, oh yeah, your Korean is fine, and would you like to do like a Korean language kind of a short form videos for YTN? And we did that. And if anybody go and look that up, one, I look like really stupid, but the second is like, it feels so funny. Did I really talk like that? That kind of feeling. But at that time I felt like, I'm so great, I'm doing awesome, kind of a feeling.
I think I am at that stage. Like your YTN period is like, it was mine back then.
No, but you need that confidence. It's like, otherwise how would you learn,
like get the experience,
right?
True.
So you talked about like the campus work time or part times kind of thing. So that is something that I never heard of, because I also did my schools, but I never heard of like the part-time jobs that you can do on campus. Can you introduce that a little bit?
Yeah, like, so basically you just when the period starts for applying for part-time jobs on school campus on the website, you kind of like, you just have to wait for it. For SNU, it's just like 1-2 months before the new semester starts, and you just apply for it, and you can search up any building in the school campus they offer. So for me, it was easier because I worked for the SNU International Student Association, and while working for them, we had to apply for this works-study scholarship. That's how I got to know it.
One, they might be having a lot of competition because like maybe many students are applying for the job. So do they also have the interview process or like the selection process?
Yeah, for other buildings, I'm not quite sure because I never applied for other. But for the OIA building, there is an interview. There's a document.
How was your interview experience? I'm really curious to know.
So tip number 1, speaking Korean. Because even though the requirement is to be able to speak English, because they know that you're an international student, they assume you already know English really well. But they are quite curious if you can actually communicate with them in Korean, because it's a working process. And sometimes the office workers of the building, they ask you to do like some kind of job.
Yes.
So they want to be sure that you are able to communicate with them. So every time I was taking the interview, I was speaking in Korean.
I guess that's a big plus. So last time we were shooting one of the episode about like how to get a job in Korea, and it has like resume and interviews and the task and everything. And this question has been asked by so many foreigners, I guess like to you as well. Like, oh, hey, if I want to get a job in Korea, what to do? I guess the one basic thing
everybody says is learn Korean.
Because like maybe 8 years ago when I first came, there were not that many foreigners, and even speaking a little bit of Korean was like, oh wow, okay, you can speak, you can work. But now there are so many foreigners in Korea, and many of them can speak in Korean. So now you are not just competing with Koreans, you are also competing with the foreigners who can speak in Korean. So if you don't speak in Korean, then they would be like, why should we hire you?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess
totally
like, right? And that's one of the basic things. What else do you think like got you the job?
First of all, I was working for the
the experience you had before.
So like it was mandatory for us to apply for that work-study scholarship. But then even though I started working for the CISA, even though I started working for CISA, I still applied for the work-study scholarship. And I think the most important thing was that the experience I had. Yeah, like the thing that I already knew how to write the storyboards and scripts, or I knew that some teachers and they worked with me. I think most importantly was the good impression I left after working at CISA.
Yeah.
So it's
like the recommendation that you got from them. So the experience you mentioned, and you said like you have worked on a couple of storyboards before, and you also had the passion for doing that. So most of the people is like, oh yeah, but I'm really young and I don't have the experience. But the experience does not really just come from the work that you did, but like something that you made an opportunity and did by yourself and showed something, like a portfolio kind of thing. Hey, I have done this. This might be useful for you. Why don't you hire me, kind of a thing, right?
And they actually are pretty clear about what they are looking for. they say we need like students who can do this and this and this. And even if you, like, for example, like who can design or make videos, or for example, like good at communicating with other students, because there are a lot of students coming to the building and you have to be able to talk to them. You can just like relate to any of those things and just like write down your own experiences in your own life.
I guess that's really important. Is when I was hiring in my last company, is if you don't see it on resume, you just assume that that person just know what is written on resume or what they are telling you, right? Because you just meet them for what, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes max. And if they are not telling you something that they can do or they are good at, then how would you know? And you lose I lost an opportunity like that before. I talked in Korean and everything, but the job was about marketing. And I had done marketing about my own brand in India, but I never mentioned that. When I lost my opportunity and they still liked me, and I had a coffee with them like 3-4 months later, and they're like, you had that experience? We did not know that. It's like, because you did not ask. Like, how would... We cannot ask you.
But you can always present yourself, right?
Yes. So I lost an opportunity because I never mentioned that or written it or like added it in portfolio because I thought they might not look at it. Now, if you have something good and if you think like that's going to add to the value, I guess like you just have to go and add, right?
Yeah. Actually, you just like reminded me of the class I took during my like college life. It was called actually 고급영어. How do we call it? Advanced English?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I tried. So in order to take those classes, you have to take a test. It's SNU test called TEPS.
Oh, okay.
It's to determine, like, to say what kind of level of English you have. And I actually tried to fail it because if you fail, like if you don't get a good score, they actually send you to the, like intermediate English or like elementary English. But even though I tried to fail, I still got to advanced English.
What do you mean you tried to fail it?
I was doing the mistakes on purpose.
Why?
To get to the easier level so that I can take an easier class. Yeah, it's tip number 1. Take the easiest classes, because sometimes they are elective classes and it's better to take the easier classes because your major classes are a lot harder, especially if, like in my case, for example, you're studying in Korean. It's better to focus on your major classes, and then electives, just like take them easy, if you can.
Wow, so your classes are in Korean?
Yeah, all of my classes are in Korean. In my whole
that?
4 years in college, only one of my major classes was in English.
How's that? How's that experience?
It was not really easy road, to take.
So,
but
I did my MBA, but it was like a global MBA, so I was fine. Like I did not have that many classes in Korean. I had like 2 or 3 only. But one of my friend had all the classes in Korean, and he is also a foreigner. And they were like, for first 1 or 2 semesters, they were living with a neighbor papago and the books at the same time.
If you open my computer even today, like the first 3 windows that open as like Google Translate, Papago, and the neighbor dictionary, like always there.
Right? On my books as well. Even on my books, like I try to read, right now I'm trying to read like more of the Korean books. And when I don't understand, it's like, oh my God, what is this word?
Yeah, so, neighbor dictionary.
But the only thing is like it takes such a long time to go and type the same thing and then find it and then like go through it. And then I lose my tempo sometimes. Like, oh.
To be honest, I wish someone made an application that is like available offline. Like offline translations. Like there are a lot of apps for English, but then there's like only native dictionary for Korean. Only one. I'm like, dude, like, come on.
Literally that happens. Like when you have to translate each and everything, that's hard. But one of the tips one of my friends gave to me is like also look for not just like the English translations, but try to look for the Korean ones or the Hanja ones because like
how they use it in a sentence.
Yes. Yeah. Like sometimes, for example, 인명 is like in is saram in, which is like a person's in, and myung is singmyung. Imyung is like okay, a person's life. So inmyung is like something like that, or in sing. Now, whenever I see like saram in or that kind of thing, I was like, okay, it has this meaning maybe, and sometimes it's kind of
Hanja helps a lot.
So, oh my God, I still cannot imagine you studying everything in Korean.
Yeah, so I think what saved me in my college life is that my major a lot of the textbooks, original textbooks, were all written in English.
Okay.
And most of them are translated by our professors or like some other Korean professors. I can just like look up for the original version of the book, and I would just like take the original textbook and study it by myself. I firstly learn in like actually study in English, and then like try to understand in Korean. Yeah.
That's helpful. I guess like that's what we do in movies, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you're watching the Korean one, you're having the subtitles. So for first like 20 ones, you get the subtitles, but later you get to use to those words like, oh, 미안해 and 안녕, like those kind of words, and then you can hear those. And I guess like the same thing will happen. Like you know the meaning, what's going to happen, what's written, and then when you're reading the book, it's like, oh yeah, this might mean this. And when you read it a couple of times later, if the same word comes up, you know the meaning of it. And it's just not you know the meaning, you know the different ways of using the same word. So what happens is, I also like animation, for example. And I
was a huge fan when I was a child. Okay, teenager.
Well, I still watch some. Sometimes like I still like Detective Conan or something because it's like the suspense and I like that. So whenever I watch it, it has like couple of words. It makes a different, I don't know that much of Japanese, but it makes sense. Like whenever I hear those, oh, it means that. But sometimes translations are wrong, you know?
Yeah, right.
Even though I don't know that, I have watched it so many times. It's like, this means that. Why are you giving me the wrong translation? And I guess the same thing happens when you read the books. You know the meaning, actual meaning behind it, and then you can like just correlate it with the same
I think
thing.
I understand you in a way. Yeah, I think I have like 2 tips right now. Like while actually talking to you, I realized 2 things.
Yeah.
Firstly, when you watch or like reading Korean, I guess mostly watch like dramas or something. Firstly, like you said, like 20 minutes you understand what's going on, but then you kind of like, some people lose the track.
Yes.
Or lose the interest because they actually get not to understand what's going on, like what people are talking about in the drama. But I guess in my own experience, what I realized is that you have to actually like, 넘어가다, actually go beyond that 20 minutes, because after this 20 minutes, like even though you don't understand every word, if you understand the general meaning, it's going to be easier from every time. For me, in my personal experience, I used to lose the interest because, I have to translate this word and that word. But then I stopped. I just stopped translating and just like tried to keep up with the drama itself and the chawak and like what they're like the subtitles and what they're talking in the drama. And then even if I don't understand every word, I still understand the general meaning. And it actually helps you.
Yes, it helps.
Yeah, this process of actually going beyond this 20 minutes is like the most crucial moment. Yeah.
I guess like what you're saying is totally correct, because when you understand the meaning behind it, apart from besides the chamak or the subtitles, then you can use that when you're talking to somebody, because you know that this means that, and in this context you can use that. And also like you can avoid the misunderstandings, because there are so many words in Korean which has like a different meaning. Yeah. So for example, it happens for me like uri and choi. So uri both means like us and ours kind of a thing. So but to me somehow choi means like not you but this.
Okay.
And uri is like we can also use it like you and me. Like 우리가 이렇게 하면 된다. So I was working in a company and the CEO once used like 저희 회사는 and I was like, I'm in your 회사, why are you excluding me? And then they told me like, okay, it's not like always just like excluding you or something. They also use like this like, kind of like, oh my god, there are so many meanings behind the one word. I don't know what to get. So it's like in some context it's used in this way, in some context it's used in that way.
I think in that way, like for the case of the uri and choi, in my case, it would help me to actually get used to that like grammars is depends on who am I speaking to.
Yes.
Yeah, if there's like somebody like really close, uri like anytime, any time of the day, anywhere, like and no matter what kind of context is. But if somebody is like not really close or higher, then always choi.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it depends on who you're talking to. Yeah.
There are so many words like that which makes like different misunderstandings. Even I'm misunderstood so many times by myself. When Koreans were talking to me, my friends were talking to me, it's like, are you being rude? And literally like not really kind of a thing. But I guess like watching more and more, not just the drama, but even the news sometimes, like other things literally help you because you can hear their intonation and like try to speak in it.
Another tip for the school about the professors and me taking class in Korean was that professors in my department, they would always allow me to write my reports or like essays or like proposal, something like that in English. And actually, not a lot of my friends knew that, in a way that, not in my department, but like in other departments, when I actually shared with my friends that, oh, my professors allow me to write it in English. And then they would ask me why. I was like, because I asked them. And then I realized that not so many of my friends actually write emails and ask professors. Like, oh, hello, like I'm like international student, and like, I know I can do Korean, but it's easier for me to do it in English. And if professors are okay with English, I think they would always allow you to do so. Just like, don't be afraid like to send those emails.
Yes, first like ask. Like if you don't ask, you would never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of a thing, right?
So I always tell my friends, why don't you just ask professor? I mean, I'm not like, oh, okay, there are professors who might not be able to speak English well, and they would ask you to do the Korean. But then there are people who are okay with English, and why would they not let you do it in English?
Literally, I guess like that happens so many times because we are worried about, oh, what if they say no? Oh, what if they think like I'm trying to get an easy way? It's like, okay, remove all the ifs, kind of a thing. If you don't do it, you would never know. Worst case scenario, they are going to say no to you. It's like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Why?
But you can get a yes.
You can get an yes. So like take the risk and do it. Otherwise, you are just going to go the hard way. That's an amazing tip. Go and ask if you don't know something. I guess that happened too many times to me. So when I first came to Korea, I did not know that you can use the same transportation cards for different, like within 30 minutes, and it won't charge you. And I never asked anybody. Like I thought like people are paying 2 times. So I was also in SNU for first 8 months. So from SNU station to SNU University, it's like almost 20 minutes of walk. And first time I'm a student. I didn't have that much of money. And I was like, okay, after getting off the station, if I get another bus, I have to pay. At the time, it's like Chon Pegon or something again. And I cannot do that. So I used to walk for first 2 months or 3 months just by myself.
Just like to make people understand, it's like a 40-minute walk up to the mountain.
I lost a lot of weight. That's good. But I came here in winter, you know. It was like December. I was like December -6 degrees Celsius or 10 degrees. And India is never that cold, at least in my region. The coldest temperature I have been in was like 12 to 13 degrees Celsius. I was like,
are you living in a heaven?
No, but we are living in hell when it comes to summer. It's like 45 to 48 degrees Celsius, like you die. It feels like somebody is like burning you in different ways. Then one of the person or the friend I made in my school, she said like, oh, it does not charge you if you are traveling within 30 minutes. Like, what was I doing for, like, if you don't know, I would have asked anybody, they would have told me. It's a basic general knowledge. Go and ask.
You have to ask people around you, and don't feel embarrassed to do so, because I mean, people, the worst case scenario, somebody's gonna say I don't know or no, but in the best case scenario, they will help you out.
So do you do the same thing when it comes to making friends? So like, when you have to make friends, do you just go and it's like, hey, hi, I'm Tanya?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a lot more easier in the international community because people will be like, oh, hey, I'm Nina or something, or like I'm Nadi or something. But in international community, it's super easy. And like in my own case, I'm really open person and positive, so I never hesitate to be like coming and approaching to people and saying like, do you want to like have a coffee or something, or what are you doing here? Are you waiting for someone? So it's like really easy, and people, they always like react positively.
Don't they get shocked first when you say like, oh, hi kind of thing. If it's
Yeah.
not international community,
Yeah.
for example, you're doing it in a cafe to somebody, like,
No,
hey-
no, that would be like a little bit weird, I guess. I mean, on school campus, it's
Yeah.
okay, right? Yeah.
I did not know that. So I did not go to Seoul National for my MBA
Yeah.
because my first 8 months in SNU,
Mm-hmm.
nobody talked, Everybody is in their books most of
Yeah.
the times. And I was like, I want to do business. If I go in this school, I won't be able to like know how to communicate with people because everybody just studies so
Yeah.
hard. But I guess that was like my own presumptions, like my own norms, because I never talked to them. So they never replied back at the same time.
I think SNU got a lot better in that way because even when I was freshman 4 years ago, and like now, I see a huge difference.
Right.
People are more friendly. Maybe it's also after like, Corona
Corona, yeah.
effect, but also people got a lot more friendlier. And actually SNU is inviting more like exchange and international students. So it's getting like more diverse from day to day. But yeah, I think when I was freshman, people would just like, group into their like, Chinese was Chinese, like Russian
Yeah.
speaking was Russian speaking people.
That's another thing, I guess, like we do have to mention, like one of the tips
Yeah.
or things that I had in my mind when I first came in Korea is like I see like similar country people just hang out with
themselves.
similar
Yeah.
like country people. It's
Yeah.
like, so if I just hang out with Indians all the time, it's like that. How is that different from living in India
Right?
and
Yeah.
having friends in India?
Yeah.
Because I'm just talking with them. The only difference is I'm living in a new area,
Yeah.
right? So I did not had like that many Indian friends when I first came. I tried to make like more like international friends, and I guess that helped a lot to understand the culture.
Yeah.
Like what was your experience?
I think my biggest experience was working at the International Association, and I actually went there for the purpose of making international friends, international community, and I actually made friends from like different countries. And while working there, we had to like meet every week and discuss the topics, discuss the events, discuss like the plans of the whole international community destiny for the
Wow.
next semester. And and the rule for the association was that like a representative of one country, no more than one representative
Oh
of one
wow,
country
that's
is allowed.
competitive.
Yeah, and there were like 9 of us, and we were all from different countries. They have their own background, and I have my own
Everybody,
background,
yes.
and all of us were so different. And their opinion, yeah, like sometimes there are not rational opinions about the event,
Yes.
like in particular, but in the way they see the problem is so different, and it's amazing actually.
I know it.
Because they see it from the A side and I see from the B side, and we can meet somewhere in between. There was, for me, it was like a revelation moment, like in my, I guess, in my youth years. I was like, wow, we're so different, but it is beautiful. It is beautiful that we can come up with different points of view and we can understand each other and like learn from each other. And even though I thought before that I'm really good listener and I can I'm open to different experiences and different backgrounds and people like of like different sorts of cultures. But then even though I thought I am myself like that open, I realized I was not. I was like, wow, there is so much
many-
room to grow. Like I still have to learn how to understand other people's cultures and like opinions and stuff like that.
I guess like I have the similar experience about like knowing the problem from a different angle. So it's like really common that happens to every one of us. When you sometimes make friends and you are not that close to share or be open or frank with them. So I had this friend from US. We just became friends recently, like 8 months ago or something. And this happened really like 2 months ago, where she was the friend of my friend. So because when we meet, it's like, oh, let's talk, let's hang out. But when we actually like not meet and like we are separated, nobody contacted each other. And then I was talking to my friend who's like, she is a really good friend of him. And he's like, maybe she's thinking the same thing, that she does not want to hang out with me and she's not contacting, because I was complaining that she does not contact, maybe she does not want to become friends. She's like, maybe she's thinking the same thing. Why don't you take the first step? And that was actually true, She was thinking like, maybe Nidhi does not want to hang out. and that's why she's not contacting. Or maybe she's busy because she's working on so many projects. Maybe I should not disturb her at that time. And I was thinking the same thing as like, oh, she has so many friends. Maybe like she does not want a new friend or a different friend. Did you had like any experience where you had like a hard time and made you learn something about like realize something?
I guess like that you can make friends with Koreans. Yeah, like it's not that hard as it seems, I guess. Yeah, it is hard. There are people who are not open, but I think it happens in any like nationality. It doesn't matter in what country you are. But there are people who will be open to you if you just like make the first step. I think, like I told you before, it's really important to have something that you have in common. Like passion for something. And in my case, firstly, it was like the dancing community. My dancing school club, I was doing it like for like me, my freshman year, we had a performance together. So every week we had to gather for like 3 or 2 times and dance together and like talk with each other. Had this passion for dancing. That's why we got close with each other. But in my own case, back then I wasn't drinking, and then they were all older than me. I was the youngest girl, and they would always like gather up after the rehearsals, and I would just go home. And then I realized, like I can't really like get this connection with them, because it's not only about drinking, but also about the topics you talk about. And apart from dancing, we didn't have much
anything
to talk
else in
about.
common.
And back then, I wasn't speaking Korean that well, so I couldn't keep up with the conversations like I can do right now. Yeah, this was like, I guess, a teaching experience for me, because I realized, I have to actually learn Korean in that way. I was like, I have to learn Korean, and also maybe try something else rather than just dancing. Dancing is cool, but you don't connect on a deep level as people, having the conversations. And then I found my other like school club, the Christian school club, and we talk about everything, like our problems, like personal problems, financial problems, future problems, or just like, the happy moments as well. And they understand you. And because you have the same set of values, I guess, you understand in what direction like you all are going to. And that's how we got really close with like this, my Korean friends. And then, like, what I'm trying to say here, I guess, is that you can just find those people who share the same set of values as you do. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not trying to promote anything. Like, it doesn't have to be Christianity. It's just like I'm saying, it has to be something like, valuable that you all have in common. And then you can make real friends. And it doesn't work only in Korean society, it works anywhere.
Yes, that's true.
When I was freshman, there was a group of friends of mine. Again, I was the youngest because I came to SNU like last, and they were all already like 2학년 or like 1학년 something. And
like
I guess what we shared together is that we were all kind of like actually appreciating the friendship itself. So we would always care for each other and like look after each other. And I guess you need just to find people who share those values. Like, your values can be different,
I know.
but you have to find those people, like not watching movies or not just like going out for a run, but actually where you can share your inner thoughts, your insights and stuff like that.
When you're talking, I'm just thinking of this example that happened to me. Is like there was a friend, we connected because he used to do yoga. And yoga, I also do yoga nowadays. Like right now I'm like all in health and everything, so I want to be flexible, and I was doing yoga. And he's a Korean who does yoga. It's like, wow, that's awesome, and let's like try to do that. But the problem was, it was great for first 2 or 3 times when we met, because we were talking about yoga and like how he got in yoga and how I'm doing yoga and all of that. But after that, what happens is there is nothing else that I do that he is interested into, or he does that I'm interested into. And I don't want to talk about yoga all the time, because and that's a hobby.
You just ran out of the things you can talk about.
Like I talked about what I watch when I do yoga, or what kind of things I like, or the eating things. But after that, it was hard to find a topic which we can like keep talking on. And then what happens is like when you run out of the topic, you don't have fun when you're talking to that person, and you don't relate on emotional level, and then you're like, okay, it's kind of burdensome to meet that friend. So right now, like we do meet sometimes. It's not like we don't, but still, like we never
like best
got
buds,
we never got on that deeper level. It's like, okay, hey, let's go hang out, do something, because I guess this is with the friendship. With what happens is if you can, both of you can sit with silence and do not feel awkwardness, then you're really close friends.
Right. Actually, there's a best friend of mine since we were freshmen, and like sometimes we just go to her place. And we just like sit in the room like for hours doing our own things. She's a design major and she does her like own designs, and like I'm more into like journalism, and I used to write like report or something, and like we would just do our own things on like on our own selves, but we just be in one room sitting together, or like, you know, just like just be in one room but doing our own things and be comfortable with that. I think
that's totally true. Like just being in the same room matters. It does not matter if you're talking to me or if you're like engaging with me. If you're in the same room, I know that you are there. That's why there is a song, I'll Be There For You. Friends song, I guess. I'll
be there for you.
That I love.
You can count on me like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you can count on me. I love that song.
Mars.
I sing that song to my really one of the best friend. Is like whenever something happens, you can count on me. It's like, because sometimes it's hard for people, or they forget to share because they think like it must be burdensome for you. So if I'm going through something, or if he is going through something, he does not share. He's tried to like, you are also having a hard time, why should I share? And I was like, you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And it's like, then there is a big smile. So that kind of connection, I guess what is more needed is you have to find like what kind of people you go along with, and for that it's like a trial, like go and meet as many people as you can, and you will find those people where you feel like, okay, this is my community. I want to get in this community.
Exactly. Actually, it makes me think about 2 things. Like, first of all, relationship, any kind of relationship, it takes a lot of work.
Yes.
So if you like, you have to understand like who you want to like invest into those people, and once you realize who are those people, you have to work for those relationships, friendship, or just like, you know, you're dating, or just like family. You always have to invest in a way that I think the hardest job in this world is to invest into those relationships. And thing number 2 is that you have like as you said, you have to realize what kind of people you're looking for. In my own case, I think it was, can we call it like a self-crisis? I don't know.
Sure.
But I was like, I think I was a junior in SNU, and there was a moment when I was stuck in between me being Korean from like, you know, Kazakhstan. I'm also half Kazakh. I'm not just Korean. So I also have my Kazakh heritage and Korean heritage, but it is completely different from what it's like in Korea.
So like, because I know that, so like she's half Korean and half Kazakhstan, so that's a totally different world, you know, like it's not like you are really foreigner, but like sometimes you're really like, oh, you're one of us, and sometimes it's not really that. So that must be like self-crisis. Okay, now you go ahead.
And I was going through like a huge identity, like, you know,
crisis.
Searching process, and I was trying to understand, am I completely Korean, or am I completely international, like foreigner in Korea? And in a way that, because I have friends from Kazakhstan, friends who live in Kazakhstan, friends from Kazakhstan who live in Korea. I have Korean friends who live in Kazakhstan. I have Korean friends who live in Korea, and I have a whole other set of international friends in Korea. I was like, who am I? Like, what kind of person I am? And then I realized I can be all of that together, to be honest. With my Korean friends, I can be Korean. With my Kazakhstani friends, I can be like, you know, Kazakhstani person. With international people, I'm international, like student, international person. But it doesn't mean I am fake. It just means I have different sides, and I can relate to all of those people together. And I think that is the most beautiful thing, actually.
That's totally true. And because like we are living in a foreign country, you have like friends from everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a moment, I guess that happens to so many people. You realize that countries or where they are from is just additional information. It's still a human being. They have the same emotions. They go through like anger, sadness, emotions,
Yeah,
love.
they're all people after all.
Yes, right? And then it's just like you are in that society and you are one of them where you can't connect with anybody. So I once call, like I did, because I'm purely Indian, but I'm living in Korea and I do talk in Korean. So what happens is like people sometimes, because I talk in Korean, in Korea, they're like, oh, you're one of us. Like, 한국말 너무 잘하니까 you're so good at Korean, so you're just like another Korean. It's been 8 years, so it's been a long time you have been here. So 그냥 한국 사람이지. You're just a Korean. And when I have like a argument or a different of opinion, what I had at that time is like, no, you are a foreigner. You are not one of us, and that's why you don't understand. So I had this wall with the same people. So sometimes what happened is like, they were treating me as one of them when they want as their comfort, and they were treating me as an outsider when they were having a hard time with me. And then I had the crisis like, what am I? It's like, because I haven't lived in India for 5-6 years at that time, I didn't know that
you
much.
no longer feel like Indian anymore, right?
Because it's not like I don't feel like it, I do, but all the information that I have about India is from my past memories. Right? Because if I go to India now, after 8 years, there are so many different things, or changed things. So I think like, oh, Indians like this. And now people are like, no, we don't like that anymore. It's so old age. It's like, okay. Because I live in old memories and I know more about Korea. So that was the same thing where I felt like, what should I do? Should I be this or
that.
Should I be that? And then another thing is like, because I'm an Indian, I cannot leave that behind. I'm always going to be an Indian. I cannot be a Korean no matter how many years I'm going to live here. So at that time, as you said, I found like, okay, I have to accept both of the parts. I have to be me, not a Korean. So to become a Korean, like be one of them and be around them, I try to change so much in myself. Is like maybe wear Korean clothes. I was young, so wear Korean clothes or do Korean makeup or try to eat the same things even though I don't like it. Maybe sometimes like drink or some like try to engage. I'm not a big drinker, but I did try to do that so they won't feel like I'm outsider. And in India also, whenever I used to go there, they're like, your accent is so weird. So it's like, okay, I'm also trying to do that and hide a couple of other parts. And I was feeling like I'm running away. And this has taught me is like, okay, well, I have to define who I am. These are my values. I won't sacrifice these values. And apart from that, I'm like, if you want, I'm one of you. If you can hang out, and same for the Indians. I'm one of like more than half of my life has been in India. So I'm going to embrace all the experiences and then become a new me and then give. But it took a really long time to understand that.
And it takes a lot of experience. I mean, not just like in one day or like after one, revelation moment. It takes years to understand it.
Literally, I was listening to this podcast and it was saying that nobody likes a storm. You know the storm is maybe coming, but you cannot avoid it. But storms are not bad. Storms are going to teach you how to withstand it, how to survive from it. And when you survive it, you would know how to resist a strong wind. You would know how to like get out of the small holes and find like, okay, this is what I like. You would learn how to get rid of like the home stuff, like the stuff you had which you don't need on your body. Maybe like you are having a bag, you don't really need a bag. You can get rid of that bag so that you can withstand the storm. So it's the same thing with the life. You are going to have storms. Those storms are going to teach you a lot of things. You would get rid of a couple of like the people or the things that you don't need. That can be your dreams or like the extra
burden.
Yes, burdens, or sometimes like greed. Like I want to do this as well, that as well, that as well. So that, but you would learn something from it, and that's why you need storms in your life.
Yeah, I actually came up with the two thoughts again. First of all, like when you said that you tried to drink, like try to engage with those
Fit
people.
in, yeah.
I also like heard one podcast when the guy shared it. He wasn't drinking, but he like just had to drink to get into those circles of friends. And what I think is that you don't have to give up your values. Sometimes it's values like for drinking, but sometimes I don't just enjoy it, right? You don't have to give up and become something else in order to fit in, because there are people who have the same things, like the same values as you do, who don't like drink. And you can always find them. Just don't give up yet, I guess. Because in my freshman year, there were also there are orientations for like freshman students, right? And everybody was drinking and I was not. And back then I did not realize, but years after, I realized that they kind of looked at me as an outsider because I was not drinking, but I didn't care about it. And to be honest, we did not become huge besties and stuff like that. And I do not regret any of that, because that's not who I am. If I don't enjoy it, why should I do it, right? And then people who also don't enjoy drinking, for example, actually came up in my life, and we enjoy other ways of hanging out and spending our time together. It's just like you have to wait, I guess, and just keep looking for those people who have the same values as you do. Actually, I can relate to you a lot. You said like you're very you love competition, right?
Yes.
And I think since I was a child, I was into competition all the time, in a way that it's not that I want to beat other people. It's just I love making challenges for myself.
Like better self of me.
Even like getting into SNU, for me it was like, why can't I do it? I think I can do it. Why not, right? I mean, firstly, I was aiming for the Pusande. Seoul National University. I think for 6 months I was actually preparing for this university. And after 6 months, I realized, actually my portfolio is a lot better than just Pusande. I can apply for a better school. And then I realized I can apply to SNU. And then it was a challenge for me. And then when I realized my whole major is taught in Korean, I was like, why not? I can learn Korean. I mean, I have a whole 1 year to learn the language.
Open to the challenges,
So I was like, why not? And then, when I came to school, there were school clubs, and they're the people all talking Korean. That's how I got into dancing school. I was like, why not? Even if I don't speak great Korean, we just can dance together. And then I went to that one, and then the whole association thingy. So everything else, and then I realized challenges. And then I realized challenges is what keeps me motivated all the time. But then in my junior year, I realized that's not healthy. That was the turning point in my life. There was really the moment when I was so tired and exhausted out of everything. I was actually doing the K-Campus project. I was the reporter at that program, and I was taking really hard majors in my school, and I was also still working for that international office in our school. There were so many things, and I just burned out, I guess.
Of course, there are so many things on your plate.
And I realized, why am I trying to get everything at the same time? Actually, there's a film, Everything, the movie, Everything Once.
I think I have watched that movie, Everything at Once.
That was my life. That point of my life was actually the name of this movie. Everything was happening at the same time. It was so overwhelming. And then there was a moment when I realized I don't have to keep up with myself. I have to let it go. I have to take it easy. Life is not about achievements. Life is not about success. Life is about the process, the people you meet
enjoying the process,
the journey, the people you meet on this journey, the experiences you have, but not about success, not about the results or achievements. And it's not healthy to always run after those awards, best reporter, best, student or something like that.
No, literally, like Indian education system and Korean education systems are really similar.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Right, so it's all about like getting which rank did you get in your school and all of that. Every year, like first year, second year, third year, like even in middle school, high school, we had to like, oh, this year I got 5th rank, that year I got 5th rank or 2nd rank.
Yeah.
And it was important for that year. But now when you go to maybe a job interview,
Yeah.
who is asking you what grade or which rank
Exactly.
did you had in your 7th grade? But at that time, it was such a stress. Or the same thing happens with your school, you know, like university or something. People are not going to ask you what is your GPA all the time, but people are going to ask you what you learned, what kind of process you had, what are the realizations or experiences you had. So if you're just like focused on getting the academic or that achievement, one thing, you would lose the time, open up and see the world.
Enjoy the picture around you.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
I totally get that. I guess like that's one of the best thing that we right now, like I have talked. What I want to do is like, because you have like so many awesome things to say, I want to continue that to the second episode rather than the first one, and end it on the note that, okay, challenging yourself. I think like having that phase when you were challenging yourself and going for something and having that attitude also helps you not to not challenge yourself, but slowing down is also important, right? And I guess like right now I'm in the phase where I'm like challenging myself in various matter. Like, why not? When people tell me I cannot do something, or like they make this frame or box for me, it's like, you are an Indian, you haven't done the business before, or you haven't done this before, so you won't be able to do it. You will fail. And then I'm
that's I don't want to say better, but that's bullshit.
Literally, that's like they are putting you in a box and you cannot get out, and then I want to rip that box apart. It's like I can't get out. So right now I'm in that phase, but I think they call it burnout stage. I have been there as well. So now I'm trying to have like breaks and then go, or with a small or slow speed, not running at 130 kilometer per hour on the car, but trying to go with 80 kilometers per hour so that I won't get like, oh my God, I'm so tired kind of a thing. And I guess that's what there is. Before we end, do you want to like share anything?
Yeah. So, sure. I think while talking to you, I realized that, as I said before, number one is that do everything with love.
Yes.
Whatever you do, the relationship with people, the work you love, the studying process, even just like walking on the street, always do everything with love, like with this positive mindset.
Positive mindset.
I believe actually that positive mindset actually helps you create the atmosphere around you, and people actually feel comfortable when they see you, when they talk to you. So when you're like, you just radiate this nice energy, people also feel nice.
It's the most attractive thing in the world, you know. Like even with the guys, if they have a positive mindset, it just attracts me a little bit more, because like, as you said, they're easy to talk to, comfortable, they give that energy, you feel positive around them. And they are not sucking energy out of you, they are providing something to you, right? Exactly. That is really well said, having a positive mindset when you do anything in your life.
And I guess number two thing I want to mention is relationships. Like, people you meet are the most important thing you can ever have, and your like highest reward you can ever get.
Assets.
Yeah, it's like people is what, in my own case, people make me as a person. I guess people who around me are my highest source of like energy, of motivation and inspiration. Like, just like, yes, I told you, right, yesterday I had a birthday party and I invited like over 20 people, and there were Koreans, international friends, my friends who can speak Russian, like from the Central Asia, and like all around the world. And I was like sitting on the in the center, right, of the table, at the highest like point, right, like as a princess, and I was looking at all of my friends, and I just felt so happy that all of these amazing people who came into my life can actually meet today and make friends with each other and get to know each other. And those amazing people can meet other amazing people, and I think that was my best gift ever in my life, the people around me. Yeah, and plus my family, of course.
Yeah, I guess like family is also people. So
Yeah.
don't they say like your relationships are the best assets you
Yeah,
can
exactly,
have? You can
exactly.
lose money, but you
Yeah, you can lose anything actually. Like
right.
in today's world, you actually can
You're going
lose
to lose your
anything.
health, maybe if you
Yeah.
don't take care of it. Like anything you take care of, invest into, and
Yeah.
something you would be able to grow. And people
But
are like one
people
of the
are always with you if you invest in those relationships again. Yeah.
awesome. I guess like this episode and this talk was motivational for myself. It's like I'm feeling like so much positive and already,
Oh, really?
and I'm like thinking about there are so many two things that you have said, and like two things that I can tell you, or the two things that you have tips or something, and it's like those are awesome. So before we leave, I do want to ask you the last question, like how was your experience being on JIMK, and would you be coming next time?
I mean, if you invite me, of course. I actually got like, wow, is this like for real?
If you have any questions and if you had like similar kind of experiences, please do let us know in the comments, maybe. Like, share, subscribe, and before you go, bye.